Thanks, guys, for coming out. Obviously, bit of a rough loss today. My team down, and well, I guess we'll just go right to the questions. Anyone? Yeah, you over there.
Over here, Mike. This is Ray.
Ray.
Holy
oh wow,
shit,
Ray.
is that Ray's here?
No, I get this all the time. My name is Ray Barano. I'm from News Month, and I just wanted to ask, what do you think about the allegations against your opponent for using steroids?
Listen. That's up to the league to deal with, not me. I'm just saying those that thumb, that index finger, those don't get that beefy on their own. Okay, like it's just unnatural. Maybe he's a freak of nature, maybe he's not. But when you set up the field goal with the fingers, it's just so beefy. There's not a lot of room left to kick between, and
And
like I said, I'm not making.
I'm gonna ask the same question to your opponent who's sitting right next to you, Alex. What do you have to say about the allegations of Mike using steroids?
I would say that it wouldn't be surprising to me, as he is a man who has, in the past couple of weeks, stolen my personal collection of coffee nips and has been working on a manifesto of flat Earth BS. So,
what does this have to do with the steroid allegations?
It wouldn't
exactly?
surprise me if
If
he did steroids and stuff. That just makes sense.
I just gotta
facts and logic, bro.
Listen. I wanna thank the PFL, the Paper Football League, for allowing me to participate. Just gotta say, the joint team press conferences of both teams. This is weird. This is a little strange. I gotta
disagree.
say.
I think it's actually very, very, constructive. I feel like I'm learning a lot about my opponent after today's match.
Yeah, I learned a lot about my opponent too, especially like when I was setting up the shot, and he decided to kick me under the table, and that's why I missed
It's
that field
called
goal.
an earthquake, Mike. It happens.
It's not. We're in Long Island, New York. That does not happen. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Barano. Do we have any other questions today? Yes, you back in the. Alex, put your hand down. Yes, you right over there in the back.
Hello. My name is Ray Baritone. No relation. I had a question regarding the paper football used in the match.
Yeah, what about it?
Oh, so I noticed that you usually use the standard, P132 card stock for paper football, but today you used a sheet of loose leaf from a binder that was just teared out quickly. What was the reason for this change?
Yes, so this was actually Hey, listen.
Mike forgot the
Each
football
their
at
own.
home.
No, hold on a second. Listen, that's not fair.
Oh my God!
Listen,
wasn't ready
That's
for
a
the game.
scandal.
Wow.
listen. I'm just saying everybody has their own preference, right? Some people like the card, like the ball firm. Some people like the ball soft. Some people like it with a lot of air in it. Some people like them a little bit smaller. Some people like them a little squishy. All right, it's just to me, all those balls are all perfect. That's all I'm saying.
Ray Parmigiano here.
Yes, Ray Parmigiano.
Do you have any? We all know you've been hanging out a lot with Tom Brady lately. Does this have anything to do with your recent statement just now about the softness of balls and their level of firmness?
Hey, listen, just like Tom likes them a little softer, I like the cards a little firmer.
Also, there are those pictures of Tom Brady kissing you on the mouth like he did with his son in that weird video. Do you have any comment on those pictures?
Listen, Tom Brady is now divorced. I don't think that there's any crime associated with that. No adultery, no shame. It's 2022. We're all above board here. I'm just gonna say it. He did not use enough tongue. That's it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That obviously begs the question, if I may, how much tongue is enough and how much tongue is too much?
Care to demonstrate, Mike?
Yeah, actually,
Here,
Alex, could you come here real quick?
No.
Oh,
use the pillow.
all right. Ah, damn.
Use your a Ray Romano body pillow. I thought those were out of stock.
Oh God! Look at the
wow, he went right
there.
in the zipper on that one.
It was called the twister, where like his tongue did like a corkscrew motion.
Wow, like a duck.
Yeah, like a duck. Exactly.
We're all learning a lot here today at this press conference.
I mean, I got to be honest. I feel like there was one question about the actual game, and we're going deep into my personal life.
I do have
listen.
a question about the game.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Oregano.
What do you think, Parmigiano? Ray
Parmigiano.
I'm Ray Oregano.
Oh, Ray.
Sorry,
I've
Oregano.
seen my time
That's
to Ray
okay.
Oregano. I've been talking for a while, and we're all in this together.
But I didn't have a question. I'm looking for my keys.
Mike, I have a question. Have you seen Ray Oregano's keys?
Yeah, actually, I think is that them over there by the big picture of the paper football?
Holy shit! It is.
Yeah. Go.
Thank you. I gotta go now. I promise. I lied to my wife and said I was working.
Well, you're now on live TV, so there you go. So,
Ray, Baroness Zonis here. I just had a question. Why? And thank you for making this beautiful display and everything. But why make a giant picture of a paper football instead of folding the paper that you used for the picture into a giant paper football as a more realistic and literal representation?
Mike, don't mention the Baronosonis to this guy. We don't want a lawsuit on our hands.
Gotcha. Thank you. Well, you see, this all started actually when I was brainstorming with my friends over on our Patreon-like subscription service.
Wait a second.
It doesn't have a name.
I'm a huge Everybody Loves Raymond fan. I didn't know you guys had a premium paywalled feed. What's it called?
Don't worry about it.
I
it's
really
a
want to
secret.
know.
It's called
I would love to pay what I want for access to monthly bonus episodes or something.
I don't think it's for you.
Go on.
Ray
Tell me.
Baronosonis.
Just between
Called
you and
the-
me. I'm turning my microphone off. Just between you and me. What's it called?
off the record. It's
Off
called
the
called the Baronosonis.
What? What is it called?
It's called the Baronosonis.
Hold on. Is this the law offices of Romano and Romano? You know that new case you've been looking for? Well, listen to this.
Yeah, it's called the Baronosonis.
They said you're sued.
That's how it goes. You say the word suit,
All
you're
right.
you're sued, and
I
then
think
This
we
is
found our
bullshit.
season 3 arc.
Rays, let's get out of here.
all right. Man,
Guys, can you just come inside the Winnebago, please? We really have to record the episode, and this press conference took
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah,
time.
that went on for 4 hours, and it was not.
They had a
fun.
lot of questions.
they had a lot of questions. I gotta say, this is kind of on us. Alex, you and I never should have worked out our roommate agreement via live streamed paper football competition. This was indeed on us. ESPN reached out to us with the idea, but
Which stands for
every sport paper
every
network.
sport paper net. So they've got paper hockey, paper golf, paper cricket, paper water polo, which is, a short game.
Yeah. Yeah,
that one's
but
quick.
but paper football is by far the most popular, especially after the onslaught of paper fantasy.
It's the
football.
only network
So-
with a parentheses in its name. Every sport
Yep.
paper network.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a lot of controversy after all of the paper cuts. That's why controversy. That's why everybody wears a helmet nowadays, because of all the paper cuts and lost eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Will Smith did a Will Smith did a documentary on it, actually.
Really?
Yeah, paper cut cushion is what the name of it was.
Oh, because remember that, he'd played in that Celebrity All-Star game where... I got that.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah.
He played in that Celebrity All-Star game where he was playing paper volleyball and he slapped the ball so hard that it went directly into Chris Rock's face. And...
Yep, that's
yeah.
what happened.
And then
Yep.
I think he won the Oscar, or the paper Oscar? The Poscar?
He won
Oscar,
something.
exactly. And he slapped Chris Rock at that too.
That guy cannot stop, but he won't go. He won't. We keep inviting him on the show. We say,
He just doesn't
you get
return our
one free
callers.
one for each of us, and you can slap the Winnebago when we're leaving. It's like a, all right,
And
Yeah,
Mike,
well, he did-
again.
like when you tell a
we
taxi
did that.
to go.
I was thinking more of like kind of I extended the invitation, like how you break a bottle on a ship during its maiden
Yeah,
voyage.
we talked about that
Yeah.
with Kalanji, actually. I think we'll get Will eventually. I mean, it's just a matter of time.
It's a matter
We've
of
had
time,
one
yeah.
Everybody Loves.
We got to get Ray first.
We've had one Everybody Loves Raymond writer on, so I think Will Smith is the natural next step.
I agree.
If you guys want to just come inside and we can, we'll turn off the live part, but we'll keep recording the live stream, and then we can just make
Yeah, that
that
sounds
the
good.
show.
Yeah,
Okay.
it sounds good.
All right, so 3, 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Everybody Loves Raymond. It's the only Everybody Loves Raymond rewatch podcast out there. My name is Adam Rudy. I'm here with Alex Shear.
Hello, it's me, the one who played the paper football that one time. I don't know,
And
I'm
our-
in a weird mood.
And our good friend, it might be the steroids.
And we're also here with Mikey D.
No, we're
wait,
not.
hold on.
Cut that.
Hold
Good.
on.
Oh, shit, we're still live.
Oh, sorry. No,
only
Mikey.
one viewer.
Oh,
Only
crap.
one viewer. Don't worry,
I
sir.
totally forgot.
Goodbye. Please forget that. We're here with Microphone E, our good
That's
friend
me.
who's new and is not the same guy that's hiding from all of those flat earth maniacs who want to kill him for playing Around the World by Daft Punk at a backyard barbecue.
That's right. Oh,
Thank
shit.
you for rehashing that.
In one
Yeah.
breath.
Mike, did I accidentally dox you?
Yeah, just a bit. That's okay.
Eox.
Happens.
You accidentally Eoxed him. Too
Perfect.
far?
Yeah, a little bit. Just a bit. Just a bit.
Well, let's talk about it. This is Everybody Loves Raymond, and we are going to go scene by scene through season 2, episode 7. But first, let's catch up with each other. It's been a week since our last adventure. Mike, how is the witness protection thing going?
I mean, it's going good. It's going good. Alex was kind enough to. Are we allowed to call it just straight out, put it out in the open, witness protection? I feel like that's a little too obvious, but it's going good.
You think people might connect the dots?
I think so, a little bit,
No.
I just,
No,
What
it's
should
fine.
we call it?
I don't know.
Your special arrangement?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be a little more subtle. But it's going good. Alex was kind enough to have me crash at his place. It turns out, though, that Alex is not as accommodating as I would have hoped for. He is cluttering.
Yeah.
He's cluttering my space with all of his campaign bullshit, and he has no room for any of my various ELR collectibles.
Right.
Not the Funko Pops, not the Bratz dolls, not the
Marie Barone Bratz dolls.
The Marie Bratz dolls.
Barats.
It's
The barrettes.
it's all based around Marie Barone. Actually,
Or,
that's
sorry,
like the most
Barants.
common. Yeah.
If we want a pure portmanteau.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we got a little bit of into a tirade, a little bit of an argument. Unfortunately, as we now saw through Alex's various PED scandals, he
Hold on.
does
What does PED stand for?
perform
Performance
paper
enhancing
enhancing drugs.
Paper enhancing drugs.
Paper enhancing drugs.
Paper enhancing drugs. But through those things, he did dominate me. So he does have reign of the storage room.
Mike, don't
and
say
my
that I
room.
dominated you.
And that he has rain.
Listen, all I'm saying is he won the game like 78 or 77-4. I just
Yes.
it was not even it wasn't even close.
Wow,
I
Alex,
should
you
have
got the
given
extra
up.
point every time. Way to go.
Every
single
time,
time,
you
All
know?
11 times.
I just like I will say I was thoroughly impressed when I should have realized it was over when he kicked that loose leaf paper and it shattered the glass screen behind us. That was my first instinct that you might have been on something, Alex. But you know what?
Yeah.
I'll admit
What,
defeat.
what about the time where I went to flick the paper football and my finger just went through the paper football?
Your beefy fingers, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
tore it in half.
Yep, yep.
It was exciting.
anyway,
I thought you were
was.
engaged for a minute, but no, it was just the paper football.
Yeah. Yep, it's it was but yeah, now I'm out on the street again. I'm looking for a new
Oh,
place.
really? That's
Yeah.
not what I thought you were getting at. I thought you were just having some tension, but
Mike, you left?
Did
I
you?
never even noticed.
Well, you replaced my bedspread with the box that's full of your campaign contributions, like the Foot Locker of cash. So I assumed that meant that I was to hit the street.
No, I wasn't kicking you out. I was just strongly encouraging that you, consider sleeping on the floor.
apparently it's good for
Oh,
your
I can
back.
sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I can sleep on the floor.
Okay.
You can
I-
sleep on the
all right.
floor.
Can I suggest something that I saw in the poster for the Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston movie, The Breakup?
No.
Have you? Well, hear me out.
Okay.
Have you tried putting a line of duct tape down the middle of the room, even down the middle of your bed, and holding your pillow and scowling at the camera, and then
Yeah, maybe
yeah.
divide the space in half. Half of it goes to Mike, and half of it goes to my campaign flyers.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
that sounds
Okay,
like
you know what?
nice.
I'd prefer that to forfeiting the entire room, which was what the paper football game was about. So I'll do that. That's fine.
Well, that's
right.
good. We've reached a resolution.
Look, we don't typically do that, so this
Yeah.
is good.
Active
this is good.
listening.
We're growing.
Yeah.
We're learning from Raymond.
So Alex, you have made a lot of campaign flyers. Is the campaign going well?
It's going.
Well,
So here's
no
what's
other
happening.
updates?
It's going. I don't know if it's going well. You see, I've been trying to kind of hold campaign rallies, but I keep forgetting to send out the Evite.
Oh.
So, the people who are at the Denny's when I do my talk are only interested in eating lower quality breakfast foods.
and your talks are, I've happened to be at Denny's while you've given one of these. It's, it's less, rolled up sleeves, rah, 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 don't stop thinking about tomorrow. That's Bill Clinton's campaign song, in case you were wondering. I don't know why I know that. But it's more of a TED Talk where you have the little weird microphone, you've got the PowerPoints, and you're pressing the little button. It's great that Denny's lets you do that.
Oh, they don't let me do that. I just do it.
Well, they're very slow at it's smart that you
You know
do
what?
it when
I'm with
at the early bird time because they're swamped with seniors, so they're
They're-
not going to
they're-
have time.
Yeah, they're the voting
Better to ask-
demographic.
It's better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. That's good.
I completely agree, Mike. I've been still looking for, a proper campaign manager that can kind of take my vision and then kind of, give me different ideas.
Okay.
I mean,
Have you
if-
done
if
any more
guys-
interviews?
I've run out of candidates. I've talked to literally everyone in Limbrook,
Wow,
haven't
including Tyrone Dickey, my opponent.
you interviewed him for your campaign manager.
Yes.
Did he have any good ideas?
How did that go?
He suggested I forfeit the race, and I thought about it until I realized he may have had alternative goals there.
But you thought about it for a good long time.
Yes, but that's because I'm not particularly clever, smart, or funny.
You should put me in those interviews the next round that you get him. I'll sort them out for you.
You know what, Mike? I think
What is that?
I
Are
think you're
you-
onto something. Can I hire you to find me a campaign manager?
A campaign manager.
Yes.
I think I could handle that. Yeah, we'll do it.
Great. I expect to see them by next week.
Great.
Adam, how's it going with you?
Well, it certainly sounds like you two are building a real life together, but I am somewhat isolated now on my stream. But as I mentioned last week, I had a bit of a disastrous enchantment under the sea dance at the RV parks, and was forced to relocate and took up shop as the dumpster behind a deli here in Limbrook. Sunroof is now the meat roof. So don't go in the bedroom unless you're hungry. You know, there's salamis and whatnot in there. But we touched on something last week, and it was actually a suggestion from our good friend Deborah Barone in the show. Or maybe less of a suggestion, but Ray and Robert, in the previous week's episode, were describing a chip fest. And part of that chip fest involved a 6-foot hero. Now, who has all the ingredients for a 6-foot hero but me and this deli owner? So we've worked out a little handshake deal under the table. I am helping him organize a chip fest.
Tell me more about what's a
in
chip
the
fest?
RV park or
No, I have suspended my association with the RV park. I'm not in hiding or witness protection or anything. I just feel like it's best if I give them some space. But they will be invited to the Chip Fest. They're on the invite list.
So what is a chip fest?
Well, as we talked about last week, the ideal form for a Chip Fest would be each person gets sort of like a tasting flight of chips of different flavors from around the world. Different creations by different artisan chippers. We've got some great guys from Frito-Lay who have already signed up for tents. It's going to be sort of a farmer's market layout in the Ray
You got
Barone.
the Lay's guys to lay out?
That's right. The patented Lay's layout, but yeah, we're going to do like a farmer's market thing in Frank Barone Memorial Park. Which is a beautiful space and very cheap to rent, as it turns out. We've got some Frito-Lay's guys. We've got, a very wizened old woman who apparently makes all the chips for Utz. And we've got hers. Hers is coming.
Is his coming too?
We tried to get his, but we are trying to amplify, women in the chip industry. So we thought hers was probably the better way to go.
That makes sense.
I'm with you. John Frito and Jeremy Lays have had it too good for too long.
Yeah, really, there are lots of underrepresented voices in the chip game, and none more so than Hertz. Not Hertz. That's the rental cars that OJ was running towards. OJ is coming. He's doing a tent.
You invited OJ back after the
we've-
whole Impractical Jokers debacle?
We've crossed paths with that man more times than I like to expect during the production of this podcast.
Yeah, more than anyone would expect an Everybody Loves Raymond podcast to involve OJ Simpson. But OJ's coming. He, I very begrudgingly, I'm giving him half a tent. So he's right next to hers, but he gets a little sign that just says TZ, and he's put it right next to hers. So it says Hursts. And he's got like the yellow logo and all the colors, and he is going to have a treadmill behind his table. One of those like, I only know it from cartoons, but the thing with the background that is on like two spindles and it repeats forever. It's that, but it's an airport. If you've never seen the OJ running through the airport commercial for Hertz, I urge you to go look it up. We'll put a link in the description, but that's basically what it is.
It's important to note that was pre-trial, right? Like that commercial was released pre-trial.
Well, there was the one that most people know that was pre-trial, and then there was the one that was mid-trial where he was running to the courtroom.
Is that
No, that's a joke, Mike.
He was running 2 hertz to rent the white Bronco.
He was running,
and then drive.
He was running to the courtroom, and then there's even a shot. This was like mid-trial. There's a shot where he drops his glove and he looks down at it, and he's like, and he does like a face, and then he looks up at the camera and he's like, I'm just gonna leave that there. And then he runs, into the courtroom, bursts through the doors. Judge Ito throws him the keys to the Bronco. But that one didn't air for whatever reason. I think they thought it was in poor taste.
Nah.
So yeah, but OJ and his TZ, which yes, it sponsors Hertz. It's also his new chip company, TZ, no longer in poor taste. So
yeah. Oh well, that's the slogan,
taste
right?
Is quality. Yeah.
The taste is not poor.
And he did a re-edit. You can do anything with just consumer grade video editing software these days. He did a new edit of that archive footage from the Hertz commercial where instead of the keys to the Bronco, Judge Ito throws him a chip and he takes a bite out of it.
That's beautiful.
So that's going to be playing on a TV above his
That's a pretty deep cut.
But it's not mostly about OJ. We do have a special speaker coming. So we've got, our stage, and then all of the tents with the various chips that you can try. And then we've got the main stage. So we've already booked Smash Mouth, sight unseen. But your face when I said that, Mike, was very... You had a real visual reaction to it.
Smash Mouth hasn't been heard of, in my knowledge, since the whole...
The bread incident?
Since the what incident?
When they threw the bread at Smash Mouth during All-Star at the Bread and Wine Festival. Have you seen that video?
I was thinking of the COVID concert where the lead singer actively cursed out people in the crowd and called them like horrible names.
Oh, he did the same thing at the Bread Festival. So
okay.
It's just, it's sort of like that Parks and Rec reunion where it's like, hey, remember this, but it's COVID.
Yeah.
That's what the Smash Mouth incident that you're referring to was to the bread incident that I'm referring
to.
But they were a little gun shy about coming back to some sort of food festival. But we promised them, no bread. It's very hard to throw a chip, but
unless you do
you do a frisbee. Yep. So we have printed instructions for people that we're going to be handing out of how to throw the chip like a frisbee.
It's also like Pringles has the aerodynamics, so it acts as a boomerang. Actually, it's kind of pretty cool.
It's funny that you mentioned Pringles because it's Smash Mouth, and then we're gonna have a couple local acts as well. But a special guest is coming to give the keynote address. We will have Julius Pringle, the mascot for Pringles, coming to deliver
a huge get.
The keynote.
That's huge.
And he might just be sitting in with a little fella you might know as the Piano Man.
Billy?
He's with Billy?
That's what I'm promising right here. Julius Pringle, the mascot for Pringles, old version, not this new streamlined modern one. I'm talking eyebrows.
You got the Mickey Mouse of chips.
That's right. He's going to be coming, delivering an inspiring keynote address that is going to change everything you thought you knew about chips. And then he's going to sit on a stool. Billy Joel is going to float out on a moving, stage platform. He'll be playing the piano, and Julius Pringle will sing. You know what? I'm not going to reveal the song just yet.
You'll have to come back next week.
But yeah, you got to let us know how all of that goes over the next week. That's happening this week, right?
This Saturday. And we haven't, we only have the permits and the plans, so it's going to be a lot. But me and the deli owner are going to be working around the clock pretty much. As soon as we finish recording here, I'm going to be, driving over there, emptying out the dumpster. We'll see what we can salvage. Because we're building, it's not a 6-foot hero just because of the scale of the thing. It's going to be a square hero that sort of circumnavigates the park so that everyone can get a bite.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, that's he is a. This is an interesting guy, by the way. He is a former Catholic priest. His name is John Strami. So he was Father Strami, but now he's sort of, he was excommunicated, and now he's a little more informal. So he says, don't call me Father, call me Pa. You can just connect the dots there. That's the end of my segment.
Right. Adam lives his life, and it's just, okay.
All right. So that's what's up with me. I think we're all caught up here.
Let the record show that Mike is holding up somehow 3 middle fingers at once.
Oh, well, Mike, put that. Can you just stop?
Put that third finger away.
Pulling your third finger out. It's a little inappropriate. We're all friends here, but there's a line. Zip sound effect.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Got a little excited. That's all.
All right. So, we'll cut most of that out, obviously, but if we don't, that's that. And now it's time for us to cut to a commercial break. And then when we come back, we'll be going scene by scene through season 2, episode 7 of Everybody Loves Raymond. It's called Working Late Again. And we'll be right back right after this.
Ba-da-ba-da.
All right, let's go. Let's do some improv. Our location is Batcave. Go.
I can't find Batman. Are we in the wrong Batcave, or?
I think we just ended up in a cave where there are bats. I don't think that this is the Bat Cave.
Mike, I don't understand. We wanted to meet Batman, so we came to the Bat Cave. He's not here.
Yeah, what the hell?
Another day out on the diamond.
Holy shit,
oh my God,
Batman.
it's Batman. It's
Hey,
Batman with
Batman.
his bat.
Louisville slugger around. Yep, I hit another home run today.
It's Aaron Judge, Batman himself.
But what? Did somebody say my name? Is
Aaron.
somebody in my
Aaron.
cave? Oh,
Aaron,
my.
MVP for the New York Yankees.
Is that... Oh, it's always nice to meet a fan. Say, are you one of the hosts of Everybody Loves Raymond? You look a little familiar.
You're familiar
Aaron
with
Judge,
this.
you listen to Everybody Loves Raymond?
Of course, all the Yankees listen to Everybody Loves Raymond.
God.
We love how you criticize that Long Island piece of shit, Ray Barone.
He was, yeah, okay.
Bronx for
Yeah, he
life.
sucks.
Sorry, that's my dog.
Wait, hold on.
Who's also in the Bat Cave?
Yep.
I see him.
My dog, Slugger.
You say
God.
Bronx for life. Is this your way of confirming that the rumors that you might be moving to the San Francisco Giants are false? You're staying in as a Yankee forever?
What I'm doing is I'm having my house in the Bronx airlifted to San Francisco so that
damn it.
technically I will be in the Bronx.
This is
Amazing.
a commercial.
For what? What could you possibly be talking about?
So you said you're a fan of Everybody Loves Raymond. Aaron, are you a member of the Baronis Zonus?
Does Slugger shit in the cave constantly? You bet.
Oh, that's what this is.
Yep, they're big ones.
Thought it was guano. No, it's human.
Sorry, can we just put a pause and realize
This is
that the
going
way
so
that
well.
the way that we are advertising this show is by Aaron Judge actively shitting on the floor? This is how we're gonna get our Patreon off the great. Okay, sure. We'll keep going with this.
Well, you know, sometimes you just don't make it. Mike, you know all about that, don't you?
Where were you going? There's no bathroom in here.
Sure do.
To the corner of the cave that I usually go in.
So Aaron,
Yep.
I gotta tell you.
So, yes, I am a member of the Baronis Zonus.
Can you tell us about your experience?
Well, you see, it was about, 2 months ago. You guys started doing this thing where you can pay what you want for lifetime access to a monthly bonus episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. Everything from Judge Deborah's to acted out fan fictions to games of scruples and more? I was like, sign me up. I love it. And so look, I'll be honest, I gave you guys $1 because that's the minimum amount that you have to give, and money's a little tight. I'm paying to have my house airlifted to San Francisco.
I mean, you're getting paid $30+ million
It costs
a year.
$29,999,999. It was my last dollar that I gave to you.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's huge. First of all, thank you, Aaron. Second of all, do you have like a money manager, or are you just like straight winging it out here?
Slugger's my money manager. He pulls out a little from the shoebox for me, and I take that, and that's my money for the week. I go into town, I buy some cave decorations.
Some big league chew, perhaps?
Yeah, I like to use the Big League Chew as sort of what's that stuff called? The putty that you
Thumbtack?
hang posters with.
Oh, that's what that is.
So-
I thought it was guano.
No.
So, Aaron,
If my
can I ask
guano
you-
is pink, something's going terribly wrong. Or terribly right.
So, Aaron, listen, as much as I like to sit here and listen to you talk about a grown man talking about your own poop, I gotta ask, back to the Baronis Zonus, can I ask, how much do you think listening to the Baronis Zonus contributed to you breaking Roger Maris's home run record this past season?
I didn't break his... I broke his home run record before the Baronis Zonus was launched, but I did break his record for most school buses jumped by a man running up a ramp and jumping. His record was 1, and I jumped over 2.
That is higher than 1.
That's pretty good.
Look at these calves. Mike, you'll appreciate this as a upside down
I do.
or a regular triangle man.
Yeah, I gotta say, that's pretty solid. Well, listen, Aaron, thank you so much for all of your support. And just a reminder, all of our listeners could also be like Aaron Judge and sign up for Everybody Loves Raymond's Baronis Zonus. Link in the description right now.
And for libel purposes, my name is spelled EERONJDJE.
Thank you for clarifying. We wouldn't want people to think that this Aaron Judge that sounds nothing like the monster of a man that hit 62 home runs and shits on the floor of caves. We wouldn't want people to get confused.
Where's Robin?
Okay. What is wrong with that? That was great.
That was all right.
How are
was
you
awful.
disappointed in that?
We
That was like a 6-minute ad that told you nothing.
Welcome back to Everybody Loves Raymond. It's time to go scene by scene through Season 2, Episode 7. It's called Working Late Again. Let's start with our overall impressions of the episode. Microphone, what is your overall impression of 2.7?
I mean, it was funny. There were good jokes. I genuinely thought that there were a couple of really, really good moments, especially with the side characters. I thought that Andy's performance was freaking great. I thought that we'll talk about it, but I thought the bit with the butt facts that Marie discovered was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Deborah's performance at the very end when she was freaking out about like how Ray being present was ruining her life. I thought there were a lot of really, really good moments there. No moral to this episode. Everybody was kind of shitty all around. It was just a good sitcom episode. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Alex.
I agree. I have a few thoughts on this podcast, on this episode. Most of what Mike says tracks with me as well. I thought this was a funny episode. Morally speaking, not too much you should try to learn from this one. I will say, for this first opening scene, Ray wasn't in it, and I thought they were setting up the fact that Raymond wasn't going to be in the episode at all. Like, you know how sometimes sitcoms have to, like, explain away a character not being in an episode? Mm-hmm. So I thought we were going to get a Raymondless episode for the first time. and then that didn't happen. And, I still liked the episode. I thought it was funny. Obviously, there's a huge elephant in the room about this episode that we'll bring up in a minute that I immediately thought about. But overall, just absolutely entertaining. Not super heartwarming, but definitely a lot of laughs in this one. Adam?
Yeah, I agree. A lot of like good comedic set pieces in this, and the wealth is definitely shared among. I feel like we get a lot of Marie in this episode, and she kills every scene. And then Deborah's final scene in this episode is really a good, very like emotive, but also peaks and valleys in her performance, like a real good example of like pivoting between different emotions during one scene. So really great performances there. Yeah, I mean, obviously there is no lesson that you should take from this episode. It is what we're not going to go too deep into, like Alex was mentioning, the elephant in the room is sort of the prescience of this episode as it relates to remote work and hybrid work and telework and whatever you want to call it.
All the shit that's been popularized in the last few years because of the pandemic.
Yeah. So I feel like we're all in agreement that everything that can be said about that has been said, and there's nothing we can really contribute to that. So we're not going to spend too much time on it, but I think it is.
I do want to say one thing,
Yeah.
and I just want to say this. It's very interesting because obviously, yes, we're talking about remote work in both circumstances, but remote work in the 90s had a very, very different implication than remote work today. Yeah. And I thought that was kind of really interesting, wherein I mean, maybe it was that the internet wasn't at the same level as it is today, but it was like, they focused a lot on the social aspect, which is very, very true and real for a lot of people. But I just wanted to say that it was interesting to see a COVID-less view of remote work, because I don't think we've seen a lot of that. So,
and it's not something we'll probably get in sitcoms today because obviously
not at all.
We've experienced it now.
And we haven't.
Never again, yeah.
Definitely in the last few years. That's a good point, Mike. Other than the obvious implications of Ray's job does gain something from being there, clearly Ray, is trying to avoid work at points in this episode, so he's not somebody that it's conducive for. It's just the most interesting thing about it is the context in which it's taking place, being so far removed from our current perception of it. I don't think we need to say anything more about that. I think we all made good points about it.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to touch on it.
Yeah,
That's all.
Super interesting. It's going to be tough to watch this episode in any different light from 2020
now
onward.
On. Yeah.
So yeah, let's start going scene by scene through the episode. We'll start with our cold open, of course. Deborah's in the kitchen with the kids. She's like getting dinner ready, and Allie is fully inside of the freezer and asks if she can have a popsicle, and Deborah says no popsicles before dinner, and they're waiting for Ray to get home so that they can have dinner. And they think Ray is showing up because the motion sensor light goes off, but it's just Frank and Marie unsolicited fixing the motion sensor light. Marie says, something must be wrong with it. It didn't go on when Raymond got home. And then Deborah says, well, Ray isn't home yet. And then she realizes, did you get us that light so you would know when Ray got home? I thought Doris Roberts,
very funny.
Her line reading of also for your protection was really funny.
Yes, I agree.
There's a connection here to Frank the writer, right? Season 1, episode 6, because Frank was getting into car alarms and motion sensor lights and stuff.
Yeah.
So clearly he had a couple left over. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, Marie comes over saying that they were working on something. What were they working on? Or did they just...
They were fixing the light. I assume that just involved screwing it back in or recalibrating
Gotcha.
something.
Okay. So I have a logistical issue here. The other side of the house is the side that faces the Barones. They wouldn't be able to see the light if Ray entered the back entrance.
That is super true.
It all depends on the placement of the light. So we're
It might
assuming,
be like the side of the house.
yeah,
Maybe.
we're assuming that the reason everybody always comes in through the back door is that the driveway goes past the house, and then they park the car and then they go inside. If it's like Alex was saying, if the light is on the side of the house and is tripped when people go past it, or it's on the corner, and whether people are behind or to the side of it, it's tripped. But yeah, they would have to be looking very closely, I think. Like, it's not the front of the house where it would be obvious, oh, we're looking out our window and Ray's coming home, so let's go over there and bother him. That's a good logistical point, Mike.
Very much so.
Yep, that won't be resolved ever.
We'll never we'll never see the
Because
exterior.
here's the thing. Because the thing is, the house doesn't exist. It's not a real thing.
Sadly.
I am thinking now about where is the garage, and is the garage connected? And I think the way that the garage set that we saw in what was that episode? The one with Lisa Constantine. So you go behind the kitchen, and then you walk through that hallway, and that door leads to the garage, which is facing, if the if the door is here, the garage is facing here, the kitchen is next to the garage, at least.
This does not work for podcast listeners.
So is it like a U?
We'll draw a blueprint.
Yeah, we'll spend the time to do that. It's kind of like a U, right? And then the garage is like on the, or I guess it's an L, right? And the garage is next to the kitchen.
This is definitely an L.
Okay. All right, we don't need to ever talk about that again. But Deborah has a nice tag. Speaking of that exchange about the light, Deborah has a nice tag on Maurice saying, also for your protection, why don't we just send white smoke up the chimney, which is a reference to the way that they elect the Pope. And they send up black smoke when they haven't decided, and white smoke when they're like, okay, we got the guy. Mike, any light you want to shed on that, being an expert?
I mean, an expert. Yeah, I voted for the last Pope, actually. I mean,
what do the I voted stickers look like for Pope politics?
They just give, it's not really great. They give you incense as the badge, but it just kind of floats away. So, like, it looks like white smoke. So it just kind of trickles off you.
The guy with the big thing that swings back and forth and spreads the incense, he's just standing in front of you. You walk up and you cast your vote, and then he just whoosh, whips it at you, and you get a little whiff of the incense, and then you walk away.
No, he, like, smacks it. He, like, smacks your chest with it.
Oh, he hits you with the thing. Okay.
Yeah. It, like, leaves an imprint, but as you walk into the rest of the world, like...
Into the real world?
It disintegrates and it turns into white smoke as you walk out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you have to show photo ID to vote in the Pope election?
Thank God, no, because you technically have to be a cardinal. I wasn't. I just kind of wore red and just walked right in. Yeah, but like it's the Vatican. What are they going to do?
We got to get you into witness protection.
Oh no.
Oh shit. Welcome to Microphone F next week.
Oh, we're jumping that soon? Okay.
No, we're not. I'm not scared of no Vatican.
Well, yeah, we don't have... The United States, a lot of people don't know, the United States has an extradition treaty with Vatican City. Limbrook does not have we are at the bottom of that extradition treaty is an addendum that just says, by the way, Limbrook, New York is excluded from this agreement. So
That is true.
That is true. You can look it up.
Yeah.
if you
Yeah, that's because of the last mayor, Oscar, the mayor, made a deal with Satan that the Catholic Church can't touch him, and the village of Limbrook became its own like separate space.
well, because Oscar was giving the devil fiddle lessons because he wanted to help.
He was
him
always
out.
hanging out on roofs.
Yeah.
he was competing with Georgia. He was going for that tourism industry. Didn't really go very well, but yeah.
He was like, you don't have to go down to Georgia. Stay here. Come do your, big sweep of New York and then take the LIRR out. Come to Limbrook. People around here suck at fiddle. If you just learn this song, it's a whole story. We don't have to get into it. But.
Yeah, I will say that Oscar the mayor's that pledge for tourism, that tourism thing, destroyed the goat population within the walls of Liverpool. That's a different topic, but yeah.
It was a light year for goats. So yeah, if you're doing a Da Vinci Code or something, I don't know the plot of that movie, but if that is a bad thing to the Vatican, come on over. You'll be fine. So that's what that's what Deborah says. Why don't we just send white smoke up the chimney? And then we go to our anti-gravity opening, and we said we're not going to talk about it anymore, so we don't have to.
Yep.
But we cut back to the same scene. It continues, and Deborah answers the phone. It's Ray, and she's like, "When are you coming home? I made lemon chicken count 2 in this show." And
is her lemon chicken supposed to be really good or really bad?
Bad.
but I thought Ray liked it in the previous episode.
Yeah, there's one dish that Deborah does that she is able to do really, really well.
Yeah.
I think
But
it
I
is the
forget if it
lemon
was.
chicken.
In this instance, either Marie's being petty or this is just not a good batch.
Yeah.
Deborah says she made lemon chicken and everything, and then Ray on the other end, we infer, says he's not coming home for dinner. Frank enters and announces that he smells lemon chicken, but Marie sort of nudges him and is like, "It's no good," which is so. Marie's pettiness in this episode is
Off the
going up.
walls.
yeah, it's really prominent. Deborah gets off the phone, and then Marie, sort of trying to console her, I guess. She's like, "Oh, it's a shame, that he's not coming home for dinner. Is it possible," she says, "that he doesn't want to come home?" But before.
What a terrible thing to say to a human being.
She immediately tries to justify it when Deborah pushes back, and she's, I forgot, she mentions, or she prefaces this by saying, "I'll try to say this as delicately as possible. Is it possible he doesn't want to come home?" And Deborah says, "What would have been the blunt way, kicking me while you said it?" But Marie tries to justify. She read an article in the New York Times, the old gray lady, if you will.
Old gray lady.
If you will. What was that?
That's the theme song.
The theme song to the
Old
New York
Gray
Times?
lady.
Do they have, I haven't opened a physical newspaper. Do they have like the Hallmark thing where you open up the paper and it sings the song for you?
That is correct, yeah.
Wow. More people should buy newspapers. That's fun.
That's why they're doing that. They're trying it. They're also doing the Harry Potter thing where the pictures move now.
Ooh, little flexible.
That's actually pretty
LED.
cool.
Oh, cool.
Anything to get back in the game,
Old gray lady.
That's just My Fair Lady.
Oh. Marie read an article in the Times, the old gray lady. And Frank is like, what are you reading the Times for? We get Newsday every week. And she says she likes the obituaries.
Every day.
Every day.
Newsday.
Newsday every day.
Yes.
Are you sure it's not every week?
Yeah, no, the tagline was every day in the because we grew up with Newsday. It was Newsday every day. That was their tagline.
Is this is something I'm not clear on. Is the paper that Ray works for supposed to be the real newspaper, Newsday, or is because Newsweek is in my brain as something. So,
Newsweek is a different newspaper.
also real.
Also real.
So there's a real Newsday and a real Newsweek.
Right, but I think Newsday is like a New York, Long Island specific one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which
so
Ray
I'd
works
like
Okay.
Newsweek is the national thing.
So they were never like, you can't use the name of our newspaper, you have to change it, and they changed it to something similar.
Correct.
They were
to my
fine with
knowledge.
it. Okay.
To my knowledge, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, anyway, Marie says she likes the obituaries. They're very well written. And she and Frank have a back and forth about, you don't know these people. And she's like, but I feel like I do after I read them. And Frank says something like, well, great, you've got a whole bunch of new dead friends. But the article that Marie read, new research says a lot of people stay at work longer than they have to because it's easier to be at the office than to be home with kids and mess. And Frank adds nagging at home. I don't know the validity of this research. I haven't investigated this for myself, but Deborah.
This kind of feels like, to be perfectly honest with you, this kind of feels like research that's done like about like, does coffee cause cancer?
Yeah.
It's like it's just one of those headlines that's like, one research says people like being at the office more. Another research study a few years later says the opposite, and it goes back and forth. So I think this is a realistic thing that might have happened.
Absolutely.
But
one
yeah.
study says it so that the newspaper can print it and talk about it and kind of spread just interesting gossip.
Today, I feel like this would show up on like Business Insider or
Forbes.
one of those. Yeah, Forbes.
Yeah.
The articles on Forbes, man, they are. All right, so Deborah, so Deborah starts to actually, get sucked into this, and she's, maybe Ray does want to stay at the office, but Marie says, don't worry, it's probably the lemon chicken. One last burn right there. I like...
Just gotta twist the knife a little bit there.
What's great about Marie is, she'll do the surface level burns on the lemon chicken, and then she'll also sow deep seeds of like psychological doubt.
Yeah, instead of like a compliment sandwich, it's like it's like just an insult sandwich where like it's like lemon chicken, deep-seated issues, lemon chicken.
We cut from there to, this is Shea Stadium, right, Mike?
I believe this is just the Newsday office.
No, we see an establishing shot of a stadium.
Oh, then it would be Shea Stadium. Yeah,
Okay.
I missed that.
It's definitely the same press room that we saw in, oh boy, the one with Kevin is the play-by-play. We talked about it, Howie Rose. Oh,
yes, we did talk about it. What's the
Ray's
name
on
of that?
TV. Season 2,
That's
episode
it.
1, the premiere. Okay. It's the same set as that. It might be slightly made up more, but it is the same set.
It's essentially the same thing, yeah.
So Ray and Andy are playing paper football, which of course has no relation to our lives.
Nope.
But they are being watched and announced by two gentlemen. Mike, the blonde man with the mustache. Have you done the requisite research about him? Because he is in your.
No.
His balls are in your court, as it were.
I don't think I don't know. No.
All right. Well, all I know is that this is Pat O'Brien. He was a sportscaster for many years.
Oh.
And
Okay.
has mostly played himself or like a generic sports announcer in films and TV, starting in 1995 with an episode of Murphy Brown, this clearly following shortly thereafter. The one interesting thing, as to us about his film work is he was in the movie Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, which
No
also
way.
stars
Frank was
Peter
in that.
Boyle as the villain.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I'm embarrassed to admit this, but in my free time a few days ago, I actually did watch Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
That's a big
And
movie.
How's it hold up?
Let's move on.
That
I will say the soundtrack to Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed is freaking incredible.
Yeah.
I don't remember if the movie was good, but I love that soundtrack.
We got Sexy Velma.
10 out of 10
That's
movie,
what it
just
says
right there.
on the
Just-
side of the Winnebago, because we did, put a banner out there for like advertising purposes, but it's a little misleading. It just says we got Sexy Velma.
Yeah.
It's just quotes from
Linda
the show.
Cardellini, man.
Linda Cardellini. What is the show?
She is absolutely celebrity crush.
Dead to Me?
Dead to Me.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's
right.
great in that. She's also in Gravity Falls.
She is? Who's she in Gravity Falls?
She's Wendy.
Ah, okay.
Those two Scooby Doo movies were right in our right in our like zone of being super nostalgic. That ages us, but Rowan Atkinson was the villain in the first one, and Peter Boyle was the villain in the second one. Sugar Ray makes an appearance in Scooby Doo 1. So keep an eye out for that. We did reach out to Sugar Ray for the Chip Fest. They'll get back to us. They're asking if they can put sugar on a chip, and I've got all the teams are working on it. It's sort of like a competitive, like Top Chef thing. We've got the Lay's team, the Utz team, the Hers team. Everybody's trying to figure it out.
It's looking like you're gonna have to say to him, "Sugar, nay, no sugar, no sugar on chips."
Sugar, nay, no sugar on chips. Indeed.
Put that on a t-shirt and
Lawless.
sell it.
Lawless joke, Alex.
Why do these make you so mad, Mike?
Puns? That's not the desired result.
Yeah, I guess so. So that's
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. That's Pat O'Brien. Mike, I'm sure you could tell us about the sports side of his life if you gave a shit at all. The other guy.
I did not realize that was Pat O'Brien at all. I'm gonna be real with you.
All right. Well, we'll never know. The
Nope.
other guy who has no lines but is prominently visible is Jason Weiss. He is a soap actor. He was on 85 episodes of One Life to Live, which I think is about in soap time 3 or 4 months, right? So sounds like a lot, but with 4 or 5 episodes a week, I think, not a huge time commitment for him. But speaking of movies,
It's at 17 weeks. That's like a few months.
yeah.
That's like 4.5 months, give or take.
Okay. So he spent 4.5 months on the set of One Life to Live. And he, again, in our wheelhouse, he appeared uncredited in the 2002 Spider-Man movie.
No way.
Yeah. He was like a goon or something, or a henchman. And he, in the past 10 years, he seems to be active in theater, and he's done short films as like an actor/director. But what's interesting about him, to me at least, is that his first job apparently was playing the Red Power Ranger at children's birthday parties in his home state of Rhode Island.
Damn.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
that is pretty cool.
Was he always the red one?
This is what it said. I mean, I
Do
would
you have
hope
to be like, do you need different skills to play different colors of Power Ranger?
it might just be a costume sizing thing. Like the blue guy is taller, and it would look weird if he tried to fit into that costume. But we'll reach out to him, and if he lets us know what his time at the children's birthday parties was like, I'll drop it in right here. And if you didn't hear anything, he didn't get back to us. So, paper football. Ray scores, and he flicks it into Andy's goal. I don't know if I mentioned that Andy was there, but Andy is the goal. And as he's cheering, we see that Deborah is standing in the other part of the press box behind the glass, and he notices her, and mid-cheer, he's like, yeah, I scored. Yay, my wife's here. Deborah...
Yeah, I think it's amazing that Deborah took dinner to Ray at Shea Stadium, knowing how far away that is from Lynbrook. It's not a crazy like, distance, but like it's like 40 minutes to drive there and back to drop off dinner for your husband who's just going to be home like late.
Yeah, that
Gonna put a pause here. You're right, Alex. But just for the record, Citi Field, which is across the street from where Shea Stadium is, it's about halfway on my drive to work every morning. But so it's like it's not an unreasonable thing, but but yeah.
But what
you're
I'm
not
saying
wrong.
is like an unreasonable drive for the intended
Yeah, you're 100%
activity.
right.
She's not
You're
going to watch a
100% right.
baseball game. She's going to give her husband food when he was probably ordering pizza.
Yeah. It sort of speaks to the gravity of the situation for Deborah, and I think implies the frequency that this has happened, where she's like, I'm just going to go down there because we need to talk about this, and talking on the phone isn't going to cut it. So she did bring him dinner, big cooler. Seems like an oversized cooler for one portion of dinner, but she thought Ray was working on an article and finds him there playing paper football. And Ray's justification is that a big part of writing is thinking. And he says, stop thinking about it. You have to stop thinking about it so you can really think about it. Letting the thoughts gel up. I mean, there's something to that, right? For like a creative pursuit. But
Taking breaks are healthy.
Yeah.
And it
But I
helps
also
you get
do
new
think-
perspective.
I do think that Ray was just dicking around in that
Yes.
moment. Like, let's be real.
Oh,
I think
no,
Ray is using
there's
it as
no
an
doubt.
excuse.
No. Dude was slacking off and got caught at a bad time.
Yeah, definitely more of an excuse than this is my creative process. Deborah's clearly, annoyed at him slacking off. She can tell he was slacking off. She brought him dinner, but at that moment, Dave Attell is back. I think we last saw him in Captain Nemo, right? The basketball episode. He arrives.
Yep.
So I guess he is also a member of the newspaper staff. He's got pizza and I think it's a case of beer. He's fully smoking in the workplace.
Shea Stadium.
Yeah. Obviously Deborah is annoyed at this because, as you say, Alex, she drove a significant distance to bring him this, and prepared it and everything. They sort of go into that other section of the room. I guess is that the actual press box, Mike, where they watch the game?
I would imagine so. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems that way.
Yeah. Deborah says, your mom was right about people like you who'd rather be at work than at home. I wish I had some place to hide out, referring to, Ray avoiding the kids and responsibility and stuff by being at work. Ray says, I'm not hiding out. I'm earning a living, which, as I recall, was your idea.
Very funny.
Which, yeah, very funny. And I feel like that's Ray in a nutshell, right? Is like he would love to just have fun all the time and not have to do all of the things that he has to do. But at the same time, he does do them for the most part. So he is stepping up in that way, but he's going to whine the whole way. At this point, Andy bursts into the press box. He's like shouting, Wheel of Fortune! And he turns it on. He's got his pizza. He turns it on and immediately gets the puzzle. It ain't over till the fat lady sings.
I love Wheel of Fortune. I really do. I watch it when I'm home at 7:30.
Yeah, so Andy's watching Wheel of Fortune. Meanwhile, Deborah's still trying to talk to Ray, gesturing at all of this. She says, you could do this at home, Ray. And Ray, all of his demeanor says he doesn't want to do it from home, but insists that he would rather be at home, and, keeps coming up with excuses. But Andy chimes in and says that Golden from the Post works from home. They set him up with a satellite fax and modem. Ray's response to this was, this is a great joke, right? I mean, come on. It's like he's phoning it in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
good.
a real.
That's top tier comedy.
That was the most Adam Rudy joke I have ever
I
heard.
love that. It's right up my alley. Deborah says, your boss likes you and he could, be convinced to let you work from home. Andy says, likes him. They share a coffee mug. I wonder if that's like a milkshake, 2 straws situation or taking
the Lady and the
adorable.
Tramp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ray says, apparently his boss's name is Bill. We haven't met him yet, but Ray says he'll talk to Bill tomorrow. Andy says, Bill's in there, referring to the main room. And the scene ends with Ray saying, thank you, Andy. I'll miss you, sarcastically. Cut 2, Barone House. Kids are going to school. Allie asks why Ray isn't leaving, why he's not going to work. He explains that he's working from home. Allie says, can I go to school at home? And Ray...
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Prescience. You wouldn't like it. None of your friends are here. All alone. Clearly still mourning himself being forced to work from home. But, he puts a positive spin on it. He tells Deborah that, he's excited to go to work in his bathrobe. Like Hugh Hefner, minus everything good about his life. It's possible that people are listening to this that don't know who Hugh Hefner is, right?
Who?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who doesn't? I guess.
I mean, I feel like, well, he's dead for one.
Yeah.
I feel like his big resurgence was our formative years of like the 2000s. So
I guess
if you're 18 now, you would have been born in 2004 and wouldn't necessarily have any awareness about him. I don't even know if any. I mean, I've seen the chart of the age demographics of people who listen to this. It is mostly people our age. But
that checks out.
Just in short, Hugh Hefner is a famous pornographer. He's the founder of Playboy magazine. Famous pornographer, Hugh Hefner. Meanwhile, or at that moment, the tech support guy comes in to install the dish, fax, and modem. This is Christopher Michael Moore. His most recent credit is an episode of Shameless in 2015, but his heyday was 1992 to 1999 when he was a very busy sitcom guest star. Seinfeld, Home Improvement, That 70s Show, Becker, Caroline in the City, Just Shoot Me. Those got more obscure as the list went on. But
yeah, I was going to say.
Another Seinfeld alum.
I didn't know Just Shoot Me was a name of a sitcom, and I thought you were making a joke.
Caroline in the City, Just Shoot Me. Tech guy shows up. Ray, I mean, the only way to describe it is he brays like a donkey about wanting to be back in the office. He's like, I don't want to work from home. And the tech guy does not care. He's, where do you want it? And Ray says, take it downstairs. And as the guy is walking down the stairs, Ray says, careful, don't fall and break it unless you want $30. You heard me. Which I thought was a nice touch of the guy, the implication of the guy looking back like, what? Cut to Ray is downstairs in the office, the basement office there, and he's on the phone. I don't know who. I mean, we can assume it's Andy or Dave or
someone
else
at work. Yeah.
He's trying to do small talk about work. He's oh, what are you guys getting for lunch? Stay away from the meatball hero, or something. And at that point, Marie from upstairs calls out to see if anybody's home. And Ray knocks something over off of his desk, and she says, "Deborah, are you down there?" Ray affects a high voice and says, "I'm not dressed." And Marie says, "Raymond?" And Ray says, "He's not dressed either." I thought that was a fun little bit.
Yeah, great little horny
classic.
Ray. Yeah.
Yeah. Implying to your mother that Marie's very
Having sex in the
invested
basement.
in Ray's sex life, so I wouldn't be surprised if
We see that for sure in a later episode. Oh my God.
Well, we
Yeah.
saw it
We've seen it
last
now,
week
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, true.
Marie and Robert come downstairs and, don't understand why Ray is at home. Marie asks him if he's sick, and Robert, perking up, asks if Ray was fired. But Ray tells them that he's working at home to spend more time with his family, meaning his family, not Marie and Frank and Robert, which Marie is mildly offended by. Hard left turn to Robert asking if his pants look all right. The camera comes out and we see that they are much too short, which Ray replies, "Are you still growing?" Because Marie hemmed them 2 inches too short. I thought her justification of "it's nice to see a little sock" was pretty funny.
I thought that was great. And then Robert's follow-up of like, let's just hope there's no crime today. I'm staying in the patrol car. Thought that was, fun little interaction.
Ray suggests...
really.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this whole thing just really highlights the absolute stupidity of what Ray's dealing with at home.
Yeah. Ray suggests making the pants into shorts like the mailman, and Robert says his thing about staying in the squad car and leaves, muttering angrily about not getting out of the squad car and then going to the post office to share fashion tips with the other mailmen. This was just a great little pre-wrapped bit that I feel like they were saving or something, because it doesn't have anything to do with the episode, but it's a great illustration of the relationship between the three of them, not just between Robert and Marie. At that moment, Ray gets a fax from Dave at work, and he looks at it, and Marie, they have a little conversation about what is a fax machine, but Ray looks at it and realizes that Dave has faxed him his buttocks. Marie's catchphrase, now firmly established, I feel like, is "I don't like that Raymond." She drops one right there.
Well, the other one is, "Are you hungry?" Because that's the thing that she asks every single time Ray enters the room. But yeah.
At that moment, Dave calls and to see if he got the fax.
Clearly losing his mind on the phone, just like, "Did you get it?" Yeah.
And Ray says, "My mom's looking at it right now. Never mind, what is she wearing?" And hangs up.
No, fucking owned. Like, gotta hand it to Dave. He won that. He won that.
That's fucking badass.
He yo mama
that.
He yo mama him. Yeah, that's great.
And then at that moment, he hangs up the phone, and Deborah enters upstairs. She calls for Ray. Ray excuses himself. Marie takes a beat to look at the fax, and she looks at the fax that Dave sent and looks at the fax machine and says, "How would you sit on one of those?" Just to herself, just an idle thought.
You just squat.
We cut to...
just 2 feet on either side of it. Sorry, I'm explaining.
No, please
this
do get into the mechanics of it.
2 feet on either side of it, like you stand on the desk, and then you you mama bird it, where you just you squat until you feel the cold.
The cold.
Then you press the copy button.
I think that'd do it.
Yeah. So anyway, we cut.
It's a very, no little piano sting here. We just straight up cut to Ray coming upstairs into the kitchen. Deborah is home. She notices that Ray burned the coffee in the coffee pot. And they have a little exchange about next time, unless you want the fire department to come put it out, make sure you turn the coffee pot off. Marie is inspecting Deborah's groceries, still holding the fax from Dave, and Deborah notices it and says, "Marie, what is this?" And I thought Marie's very flippant. "It's not mine, dear." It was very funny.
Yep.
Ray says, it's from Dave. Deborah says she didn't recognize him without his cigarette. And Ray says,
He's trying to quit.
Every joke about Dave and his butt made me laugh. I thought this was a great running
gag. Well, it killed
gag.
the audience. This was like the biggest laugh of the episode. Great image. So Ray grabs a Canada Dry from the refrigerator, of course, and he tries to, get out of bringing the rest of the groceries in by saying, I'm working, I got to get back to work. But then Deborah this is a little bit on Deborah, right? She doesn't need to take 6 things at once. Interesting to note, maybe to only us, that Deborah is struggling with some Viva paper towels, which is my go-to semi-obscure paper towel reference. So it
You can't
is
just
real.
use like Downy like the rest of us or anything like that.
No, Viva. Viva's good. Viva's affordable. Viva's for a family, especially one with twins. So, Ray's about to help because he sees Deborah struggling, but then Marie steps in, which I feel like for Deborah is both a blessing and a curse because she gets some help with the groceries. Ray goes back downstairs, but meanwhile, Marie is criticizing everything that comes out of the bag. Cookies from a log. You heat them up. Well,
almost baking.
That's almost baking, yeah.
Just like Marie is just dunking on
I know.
Deborah scene after scene in this episode.
She's getting, she just has some great burns, and that's the only way to describe them.
Yep.
We cut to back downstairs, Ray typing and speaking aloud as he types. I don't know have you ever done that in your actual life? Spoken out loud what you've been typing?
Nope.
I don't
Not
think
really.
I
I
have
don't
either.
think so.
I think it's purely a television invention. Or I guess in podcasts as well we would do that. But Ray is typing, it was the best of games, it was the worst of games. I mean, this is obviously a reference to A Tale of Two Cities. Didn't
you know
write
what?
down
You know
any
what?
details about it.
You know what? All sports fans love
Dickens.
a fucking Charles Dickens reference. Yeah. That's,
They go crazy
That's
for
what
that
I
shit.
want. That's what I want when I'm crying over the Jets' loss. I want them to reference to me. I want them to pull out some romantic poetry as they wax poetic about why they suck.
Much like Miss Havisham, the Jets are locked in a prison of their own making. Would be an example of reference to Great Expectations.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, 9th grade English. But Ray, I thought Ray's very smooth segue from it was the best of games, it was the worst of games to dear readers, as you must have realized by now, I am a fraud. Was very good.
That was great. That was good.
Jeffrey just kind of appears there. He has come downstairs with his what Ray refers to as his tortoise and the hare disc, which I assume is a floppy disk or a CD-ROM that you will plug into the computer to make the game, to play a game based on the tortoise and the hare. Ray is still working. He very feebly tries to, explain this to Jeffrey, but then he gives in and puts the game in. Jeffrey sits on his lap, and then Michael comes downstairs. Yep.
Yeah.
And he also gets to play the game. And then Deborah comes down complaining about a trail of ants leading to a half-eaten sandwich. Ray is just fully flaming out here.
I think Ray's line was, "Yeah, they're bringing it down to me. Let him do something like that."
And Deborah, Ray is there playing with the twins, and Deborah says, I've got to take them so we can go pick up Allie. But Ray says, and I thought this was nice, Ray, at least in intention, if not execution, Ray says, Deborah can leave the kids with him because he's enjoying spending time with them. Great intention, but we see how that plays out in our next scene. Still good. Ray is bouncing balls with them, and he bounces a ball off of one of their heads onto the other. He says double shot, one head to the other. This gets applause from the audience. They were very impressed by this.
Easily impressed, these audience members.
Yeah. It was, I don't, we don't know what happened behind the scenes, if they practiced this or if Ray went back to his, his house every night after, shooting or whatever, and he has 2 like mannequin heads that he's just practicing bouncing a ball between. But but it is mildly impressive, and the audience is mildly impressed. And then he picks them up.
You get this.
Yep.
You get the scene of them slapping him on the
yeah.
nose. I thought that was very, very cute.
He picks them up for what he calls a belly sandwich. It reminds me of the pilot. Remember when he was doing the baby curls?
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
This entire like interaction was just very wholesome and sweet, and I like that they include little tidbits of stuff like this in the show to show that Ray is not like just the straight buffoon that we
Monster.
sometimes believe him to be. He's a human being, and he like cares about his kids, and there are probably lots of times where he plays with them that we just don't see in the show because that's not always interesting.
I think it's a really nice touch, and it shows that Ray does, want to be there with his family. It's negative influences like Frank and Robert who are about to come in, or his own inability to like manage. Okay, I gotta turn the coffee pot off. I've got to make sure I bring my sandwich down. Like, things that mar his otherwise good intentions. But yeah, it's a really nice moment. But Frank and Robert come in at that moment to watch the game. What game? And Robert says, we saw the satellite dish. You got games floating around all over. And Frank says, pull something down. And then they both start to ask Ray to get them satellite dishes from his work, which Ray shuts down immediately. But they're flipping through, and they land on Hawaii 5-0, but it's in Korean. And I thought it was about to get dicey, but Frank just says, stop right there. Let's watch this, essentially. There might be people who don't know what Hawaii 5-0 is, despite the remake that I think is started in 2010.
It's just a crime drama, right?
The investigations of Hawaii 5-0, an elite branch of the Hawaii State Police, answerable only to the governor and headed by stalwart Steve McGarrett, played by Jack Lord. Maybe it's recent political events, but the idea of a police force answerable only to the governor is kind of a troubling idea in certain states.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
I can think of one governor in particular who would love to have his own private police force.
Kathy Hochul.
Yeah, that's right. But Ray is immediately fascinated by the Hawaii 5-0 in Korean and, his resistance, his protestations that he needs to get back to work. Falls apart. I'm putting this here, even though it happens later, just because, organizational. But later, Ray refers to the Korean version of Hawaii 5-0 as Hawaii Bing Bao. This, according to Google Translate, at least, Bing Bao is not a Korean phrase, but it is Mandarin Chinese for hail. Isn't that interesting?
Like the
not at all.
Yeah, like hailstones.
No, it was just a kind of dicey joke. I don't know if it was a
little racist.
Just a bit.
Yeah. So, Hawaii Bing Bao is not didn't age well. There is, South Korea does have its own title of Hawaii 5-0 that they use when it's syndicated over there, but obviously I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I would do a terrible job. But it does translate to Hawaii 5-0 Investigation Team. So a little bit more clarity there for you at the end of the title. Which I, honestly, Mike, since you didn't know about Hawaii 5-0, you could have used that little bit of clarification.
I very much could have. You're absolutely right.
So we fade. It's a nice classic fade to the three of them nearly passed out. They're just eating snacks. There's pizza, there's popcorn, watching hockey. Deborah comes in with Allie, and Deborah, surveying the situation, wants to talk to Ray in the kitchen. Robert, as Ray gets up to go into the kitchen, says, "I'll call you if there are any fights." And Ray calls back, or says back, "I may call you." Fighting with wife. The kitchen is an absolute mess. Coffee pot again. Deborah
Like,
says,
it's amazing how it got this bad.
yeah.
He's
hours.
melted freaking crayons onto a non-stick pan.
Yeah, would have loved to know. He says there's like a story behind it, but we don't really get it. I mean, I
We
can't
never get
imagine
there.
what it is other than the twins put the crayons in the skillet and he turned the stove on for them. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems like he would have to have turned the stove on at some point.
Probably.
Which is very irresponsible. Kitchen is a mess. Deborah says, where are the twins? Are they under, referring to the mess, are they under here? Ray says the twins are napping. Deborah points out it's 5 o'clock, so they'll be up all night. And Ray says this is when Ray says they fell asleep during Hawaii Bing Bao. Deborah is sort of, she's clearly having second thoughts about the working from home thing. And she starts out cautiously, saying this might not be the best arrangement, but then she absolutely snaps and she's like, I was wrong, go back to the office, get out. Clearly,
so funny.
Yeah, well, yes, it's a great performance by Patricia
Yo,
Heaton in
it's
this scene.
hilarious. Yeah.
It's very
Great
fun.
performance.
And you can understand where she's coming from. She's gone and done all
Yeah.
the things that she does regularly all day, and now she gets back and Ray has essentially destroyed the house. And he says that he's going to clean it up, but,
He's not
will
going to clean
he?
it up.
No, so that's going to fall to Deborah as well. So Deborah's day just got that much longer. That's an immense amount of pressure to have suddenly put on you to deal with, non-stick skillet covered in crayon.
I do want to say, like, this is all taking place over the course of one day,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like, it took one day to wear Deborah down to the point where she's like, I gotta leave.
No, Ray's got to leave.
Yeah.
All right, Ray's gotta leave. Yeah, exactly.
Ray pretty quickly agrees to go back, but he mentions that he did like spending time with the kids, and he says, you weren't happy when I wasn't here, and now you're not happy when I am here. And Deborah, sort of trying to clearly process how she feels about this in the moment, says, I guess what I want for you, I guess what I want is for you to want to be here, but not actually be here. And Ray says, I can do
Ray
that.
says- yeah.
I can want to be here whenever you want. And maybe Deborah asks that he just try to make it home for dinner more often. So they sort of come to, I don't know if it's a compromise, but it's, asking Ray to
conclusion?
be, a conclusion of this
Well,
chapter.
I can see that kind of being a compromise.
Just asking Ray to be more mindful of,
Yeah, but maybe not.
but, one thing that they didn't touch on or nobody considered as a solution was Ray working from home once a week, twice a week, which
That might not have been an option
Might-
back then.
and especially considering how much equipment they needed to give him.
Right.
I don't know if they would go for that, but nowadays that seems like a perfectly normal solution.
Sure, yeah.
So Deborah asks at that point if Ray wants to go back to the game, and Ray suggests that, instead he pretend that he's at the office and take a little break, and then they kiss, and he says, just like at the office, which is funny.
Yeah.
Hot close, 3:15 a.m. that night. Ray is reading Pumpkin Man. I don't know if Pumpkin Man is real. Pumpkin Man, Pumpkin Man, Pumpkin Man, said the worm to the twins.
Dude, don't say it 3 times.
Oh, no. Good thing we don't have any mirrors in here. We're in a state of permanent Shiva in the Winnebago, so all the mirrors are covered. Mike liked that one.
I did. That was funny.
They're in the bed reading to the twins. Deborah's sleeping, and Ray nudges her and says, you want to read a chapter? But Deborah says, you're the one who had to give him a nap. Keep reading. And Ray says, what time do cartoons start? Deborah says 5 a.m., and Ray picks the twins up to take them downstairs and says, maybe there's cartoons on in Korea. And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
thought that was a pretty funny way to close it.
Yeah, it was a cute little finish. Yeah,
I'm
with
glad
I
he
agree.
didn't try to, transpose some fake Korean onto the title of an American cartoon because
Yep.
once is enough
Yeah.
for an episode. But yeah, no, pretty solid. Good callback. So let's go ahead and turn to our classic barometer. It's the scale from 1 to 10 on which we rate Ray's performance as a husband, brother, son, father, sports writer, I suppose, remote worker, cable installer, receptionist. Asking the man to fall down the stairs might cost him a little bit, but we'll see. 1 is the worst men of television history. It's your Don Drapers and Walter Whites, whereas 10 is the greatest sitcom dads of all time. Danny Tanner, Uncle Phil, Reginald Vell Johnson as Carl Winslow on Family Matters, as an example. So Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell us your rating for Ray on this episode?
I mean, if his goal was to scam Newsday out of a modem and satellite TV, 10 out of 10. If his goal was to be a good dad, maybe not so much. I mean, he was a good dad. I should say that. He was a fun dad. Well, being a fun dad is actually different from not necessarily a good dad and vice versa. But how do I put this? He was bad to Deborah. Like, I think he starts out in not a terrible place, He starts out, just kind of spending extra time at the office. It's easily redeemable. And Deborah's not great in that she kind of forces him to make this radical change really, really quick. It seems kind of impulsive. So I have some sympathy for him. But as we saw, he freaking demolished his own household in the span of 24 hours. So, hilarious. Sure. Good husband, not so much. Probably give him a 3.5. That's my rating.
That's low.
Very low. Alex, where are you coming in?
Well, let's put it this way. What does he do good?
Well, Mike, why don't you listen to what we have to say for once?
Oh,
Mike, sit down.
Okay. Ow. All right.
Sit
Sorry.
down.
Pedestal.
Put your
Jeez.
third middle finger away.
Thanks.
Zip sound effect.
God. Anyway, I'm giving Ray a 2.
Oh, wow.
No. No. So I think Ray starts out pretty bad in this episode, and I think I see the rest of this episode after the first 5 minutes as just a consequence of one crappy conversation or one crappy fuck up by Ray, where people at home, communication is literally everything. Deborah comes to Ray, sees the situation he's in. And I don't even blame him too hard for like goofing off at work, because he could have been goofing off for a couple minutes, taking like a legit just break with the guys because pizza was on its way. So they were just probably waiting for dinner. That part I don't really, I wouldn't take points off for that.
No, absolutely not.
When Deborah comes and she lays out the situation to him and kind of what, her side of the story, and basically saying like, I think you're spending too much time at work and I'm worried that you're not present enough. And just Ray just does not tell the truth. He says what he wants Deborah to hear. He says he wants to work from home, which is not true. He says he would try to work from home if he could, which is not true. And then he gets roped into it, and he has no one to blame but himself. And just the rest of this episode is just proving that this setup does not work for Ray or Deborah. He is a good dad to his sons when he has time, but another part of being a good dad is doing a good job at work so that they can continue to have money. Or at least in their family, that's kind of what Ray's responsibility is. And then he still needs to have time for those kids. Absolutely. He just has to, prioritize that time. And, if he's, losing time at work, or if he's, slacking off playing with his kids, when he's supposed to be working, then that's bad. And then earlier in the episode, obviously he was working when he should have been playing with his kids, so he just can't get his timing right. So I really only have that one big fault with him, and then the rest is just kind of the consequence of that. I'd put him at like a 4.5.
Okay. For me, yeah, I agree that the whole thing, like the root of it all, is that communication breakdown at the start, where I think Ray just didn't trust Deborah enough, or trust that Deborah would be understanding enough that, this is a big part of his life, and he's been a successful sports writer for a long time, so maybe there is something to him being in this atmosphere that is conducive to that. But he doesn't, like you just said, Alex, he doesn't speak up. He doesn't say how he's really feeling. He's not communicating honestly. So everything else follows from that. I'm judging him very harshly as a husband in this episode because, you might think that because he's working from home ostensibly to spend time with the kids, that it'd mostly be about him being a father. He's a fine father in this episode. He spends time with the kids. He reads to the twins. He's clearly, being a fun dad for them, almost to a fault. But as a husband, he is not communicating with Deborah initially. He continues to not communicate with Deborah. He passes off responsibility for his messes to Deborah, gets out of helping her, put away the groceries, etc. And then ultimately trashes the house and doesn't do anything about it until he's essentially caught. So I judge him very harshly on that front. And, his interactions with the rest of the family are kind of, they're not really impacting this at all. They're mostly like pocket bits that, don't really apply to the main conflict of the story. But for me, I'm going to come in at, it's interesting. Yeah, it's not interesting. It's simple. I'm going to give him a 4.25.
All right.
Call it 4.3 just for simplicity.
All right.
Okay. That rounds him out for this episode at an average barometer score of a 4.1.
Okay. I think this is the first time Ray's landed in the 4s. I might be wrong on that, but not his worst, certainly not his best. But that's it for Ray. Look, Ray, hopefully you'll turn it around next time when we come back next week with Season 2, Episode 8. But for now, you're sitting at a 4.1. Our show, what else? How do we wrap this thing up? Our show can be found on all of your major podcast apps, and if you're listening on one that supports...
Yeah, they know that, Adam.
Well...
They're listening to it right now.
If you happen to be...
the show you're listening to right now? You can find that on the place you're currently listening to.
Yes, that was an unnatural way to start the actual ask that I'm laying out.
Make sure you click subscribe. Make sure you rate and review our podcast.
Yep. And, we're on Instagram and Facebook at Barone Zone, doing good content on there, I think. So come on over and interact with us. Baronus Zonus, postfund.org/donate. Extra episode every month. Pay what you want. So go over and do that. Go to forums.postfund.org for the to submit a Judge Deborah or a remembrance, which we're mostly doing in the Baroness feed nowadays, but one might pop up here and there. I don't think there's anything else to add. So Mike, I think I'll have to throw it over to you for our classic sign-off.
All right. Yeah, so there's just one last thing to do. Our classic sign-off. Everybody
loves
Raymond, and
we love you.